All right, everybody, you know what they say. If the shoe fits, kick it. This is the World According to Kyle podcast. I am back once again. How is everybody doing? I am fucking great. Thanks for asking. In case you didn't notice, I had a month skip in recording my podcasts. I was normally going to do the once a month rendition of the World According to Kyle podcast, but last month was an exception where everything started to open up a little slightly, and I decided to take some, what happened is that I scheduled a get-together with my friend back home, and we ended up having to reschedule it, and the rescheduling kind of fell on the same day that I was hoping to do my podcast, and everything being considered, and that everything opening back up, I decided to just scrap the podcast for the month, and in order to do my fulfillment of 12 podcasts for the 2021 year, I made the executive decision here at TWA2K to put out a greatest hits for my 12th feature. I'm just going to kind of use that as an excuse to do my year in review and kind of go over everything and compile together some of my spicier takes and better content, and just to have it out there, because I've been seeing some stuff pop up recently, especially in the field of sports, where they want to see submitted speaking for get hired by podcast companies and stuff. So I was figuring, especially my takes on sports, I could isolate and have like a greatest hits TWA2K sports and greatest hits of TWA2K regular show, and if you have listened to any of my shows, you will know that I spend the first segment talking about giving a rundown on the news and whatnot, and popular events, popular culture, etc. And then the last segment of the show, where we go and do a sports section, sports and reality. Sometimes they intersect, and I will talk about sports issues, but it'll usually pertain it'll usually be a more transcendent issue that I feel like it is necessary to talk about. It is newsworthy, etc., stuff like that. So that's what I'm gonna do, because you never know what'll pop up, and getting my name and voice out there for different situations. And so between that, wanting to do a greatest hits in general, and kind of using it as an opportunity to maybe partake in some human interaction that who knows if we'll ever have again. It was a nice little opportunity to see my family and friends, and take a weekend to kind of get used to semi-normalness, eating outside, definitely, and drinking alcohol outside, definitely not my version of normal, but some semblance of being able to see other people, and to say hi and interact, albeit incredibly awkwardly. I feel like that's going to be a hurdle to cross in the coming months, if things do kind of restrictions end up getting loosened. Eventually, I think that'll be a hurdle to climb, is just the social interaction, and like having to talk with people again. Like I was actually the other weekend ago. I was at my friend's house, and just talking with people was like, I always just blurting out things and talking too loud and not used to like interacting with others. But yeah, hey, it's all for the better, I guess, as long as things are opening back up. Hopefully, Alberta doesn't end up fucking spiking the cases to the rest of Canada because of these ridiculous restrictions that they are lifting to an excessive degree, I would say, to just have somebody who's tested positive no longer quarantine or no longer self-isolate and no longer have to do anything is a little bit it's a little too much right now. I mean, this is not the type of thing where you just want to rip a Band-Aid off and have it go back to completely normal. You want to kind of get your feet wet into normality first. And, like, nobody acknowledges that what's going on isn't real unless you're a fucking moron. And there are quite a lot of morons around there, and and I've been developing quite a large headache trying to put myself into their headspace and why they're thinking the way they're thinking. So here's my stance on it. And I've been arguing a lot with anti-vax community online. Sorry, you'll have to excuse me. I am having a beer while I am doing the podcast because I have worked 6 days in a row and it's my day off and I'm doing more work on my day off. So sue me. Yes, and I've been arguing with like these anti-vaxxers online, and just it's staggering that with all the information available to you that you can have significantly dumber people as a result. Like, this is like a level of stupidity that, like, honestly, like, our ancestors would have laughed at. So these people, we've just been experiencing a prison-like existence for the last year and a half, and you can erase your probability of acquiring the virus that we have gone into lockdown for. You can reduce the probability of acquiring the virus that we went into lockdown for by like over 99% if you simply get a vaccine. Okay. A vaccine for a virus that has killed, at least in Canada, over 10,000 people. Okay, so how many people have died as a result of the vaccine in Canada? 0. Okay, so 2/3 of the population is vaccinated. Nobody has died from the vaccine. Who knows how rampant COVID has spread through the population, but there are 10,000 deaths due to it. Maybe we're not at the brink of mass virus spreading. Maybe there could still be more. But so the anti-vaxxer logic is, instead of taking a very low-risk vaccine, which has killed nobody, and getting out of lockdown, and so taking that is a high risk to their well-being. Well, I'll be fucking damned. What are the odds? Like, literally, what did I just explain to you that you're not understanding? And on top of that, it's not like the old viruses before, where you actually are infecting yourself with a, albeit micro dose of the virus, and training your immune system to be able to fight it. This is a synthetic protein, guys. It's like, do you know how many proteins go in your body like all the time? It's a fucking synthetic protein. That's all it is with the mRNA vaccines, and you're fucking scared of that, of a vaccine that has killed nobody, and our lives going back into normal is being delayed because there's just enough of a number of idiots who are believing this shit. And then they're the ones who turn it around and tell you that you're not thinking for yourselves. You should not be thinking for yourself. You should accept that you're fucking dumb. That's what the smartest people do. And then they go to the experts and they see what the experts are saying. Not that you're out on a fucking, like, you're the one idiot that has figured everything out. And the earth is flat. And and whatever, and there are chemtrails in the fucking sky, and the water's making the frogs gay, and the vaccine is more dangerous than the coronavirus. Thank you. Vote for retard for president. Like, come on. And it's infuriating. I've never seen, like, the level of stupidity for this would be, we would be laughed out of like any other decade. Like, and this is a common enough thought where it's fucking things up for us. And this was what I was talking about in podcasts before, where I'm just like, don't get too excited about going back to normal just because we got the vaccine, because guess what, we also have social media and we also have a lot of idiots, and a lot of idiots that think that they're right about everything, even though they've just ingested a very small amount of data, and they're just looking for things that went with their belief system. Now, I've had my gripes with the government and how they responded to COVID, but I mean, I don't think they're lying. I don't think that they want to plant fucking microchips. I don't think that the virus or that the vaccine is all that dangerous. And the baffling thing is that they will point to the low fatality rates of COVID as a reason to not get vaccinated. Well, that's okay on average, but I mean, I don't want to fucking kill Grandma Ruth around the corner because her probability is higher if she catches it. And would I be willing to get a vaccine that has 0 fatalities out of how many people in the world have had the vaccine so far? Hundreds of millions has had 0 fatalities, and you're worried about like, it's just. It's such an act of ignorant selfishness and ignorance of data, and just such a fucking stupid, selfish, fucking moronic thing to do. Unless, like, I'll provide certain exceptions if you have a weak immune system, or maybe like you were worried about if you have or if you've had adverse reactions to vaccines before, and not if they were marginal reactions, then I wouldn't worry about it. If there are more severe reactions, yes, okay, I'll provide exceptions in those circumstances. But other than that, you have no good excuse for not stepping up for everybody and helping things go back to normal. And you can't even justify it. The arguments, they go, well, the government lies to you about everything. You think every government in the world is lying about COVID? Do you think put it this way, the entire planet can't agree on nothing, on absolutely anything, period. but we all seem to agree that there's a virus going around and it's a problem and it's killing people and it's draining our fucking our medical resources. And so, I mean, I guess, like, I'm in favor of whatever you have to do to inconvenience their lives, because I'm fucking double vaccinated. I want to just be able to. I should be able to go around not wearing a mask. I should be able to do these things. But the people who don't get vaccinated and want to do these things, they're the problem, and it's highly. Excuse me. And for me, it's highly contradictory to both be in the same intellectual camp of being against lockdowns and against vaccinations. To me, that doesn't make logical sense. Now, is there a point where the government overreach is questionable, and the closing of, like, especially in fucking Canada, and closing gyms and the and these places that are helpful to people's well-being and keeping them, like, in a fucking a lethargic existence? Is there a point where it is, let's say the vaccines didn't work and COVID keeps spreading? Is there a point where I would think that we need to stop having people restricted and all this? But yes, I agree with you, but I don't agree that the COVID is a hoax. I don't agree with this bullshit. I agree that we cannot continue living a fucking a prison-like existence for close to a decade that will yield results that are worth saving the amount of people that are going to die from this. I don't think having a population that is lethargic, fat, unhealthy, and drug addicted and alcohol addicted is going to be a good thing for humanity at all, and it'll cause worse health problems 10 to 20 years down the road. So I'm stuck in the camp where I'm kind of like over this, but I mean, I don't think that I don't think that you should not get vaccinated and at least try to do something to prevent needless death. Like, the one point that I want to end on to try and really hammer this home is that the videos that I've seen online of people who have died from COVID and who have not got the vaccine, and seeing them, like, in a very deep state of regret for not having gotten vaccinated, and that maybe that thing would have that getting vaccinated would have prevented them from dying like they're going to from COVID. This I seen this black gentleman who was very big into Jesus and God, and seeing his Twitter feed before, and then he finally died. Eventually, the doctor came on and tweeted, such and such is no longer with us, he passed away. And, like, you know, and you could... He wasn't willing to admit that he was wrong, which, you know, who are people carry secrets to their death into their grave, and you know, he goes around saying glory be to God and Jesus and all that, which is good and all in and of itself, but not if it's preventing you from realizing that if you would have simply got vaccinated, you would have had a significantly better chance of not contracting the COVID virus and of not subsequently dying from it. Like, it's just really infuriating. I've never felt more I've never felt more, like, low on the future of humanity than in this past couple years, and seeing our reaction to it now. Maybe we learn from it and things will eventually become better. But, you know, I'm at the point where I'm starting to support the government wanting to fucking have passports for being vaccinated. Wow. And if you know me, if you know anything about me and how, and my mind state is that I'm not too happy with a lot of the things that the Canadian government does, but I mean, for me to sit here and agree that they should be clamping down on people who are not getting vaccinated and spreading it, and is insane. And even me, I mean, and even me, I completely believe in free speech and think that YouTube and Twitter and Facebook have been going nuts with their censorship. I mean, it's hard to argue with the point that there needs to be more internet censorship when the only reason that people aren't getting vaccinated is because they don't want to be sheeple. Okay, something's a little wrong here. So yeah, and it's funny how you see people with the Bible are the ones who are it's just, you know, what I'm against really is anything that needs an extra layer. It needs to add an extra layer of bullshit over reality, and that's what religion is effectively. That's that's how it operates. Like, I don't, you know, there can be God in that, and I'm cool with it. But I mean, for anybody to pretend like they can know is horseshit, or know that that everything happens for reason is horseshit. A lot of things happen for fucking no reason at all, like fucking pandemic outbreaks and like, I mean, what do you think? God is spiteful? Like, you think God is angry at us now? Like, it's just, I'm against anything, and it's nice to be a spiritual person, and I do consider myself a spiritual person. I believe in right and wrong. I believe in doing the good thing, but I don't believe in adding like layers of bullshit on top of reality. And I think we need to get past that. And I don't think the Bible is like the only book you ever need to read. I do not think the Bible is really providing relative insights to how people are living their lives right now. Like, if you just take a look around right now, and how the ability of misinformation, and in spite of the internet providing infinite information and infinite access to anything you can possibly know about it, how stupid people are getting. It's really unbelievable. So, anyways, I guess as far as Canada's concerned, well, we just had some fucking disconcerting news in Florida, 21,000 cases, but as far as Canada's concerned, hopefully, like, things have started to get loosened up, but we've hit a plateau in the we hit a plateau in people getting vaccinated, kind of, and we were hoping that it would reach the 75% mark by now. It has not. It's kind of at the 2/3 mark, and right now we're at about 200 cases a day after we have just loosened restrictions. So we're gonna see how it works out. I hope we can get the number of fully vaccinated people to at least 80, if not 85 or 90% by the time September 1st comes around. Because if not, we might have a real problem on our hands, because I don't think we realize how delicate this situation is. That's why I think Alberta's making a big mistake. Like, people are at the point right now where if there's a spike in clampdowns, that there might be a very hard reaction against it. Like, I'm just saying, there might be a very hard reactive response to going back into lockdowns. So that's why I just think that, like, you can, like, to loosen it to the degree where you're allowing COVID positive people to mix and mingle with the rest of the population. I mean, I just think that's a little bit much right now. Like, we gotta kind of, dip our feet into getting back to normal, and then hopefully we have as normal as possible 2022, and that we have semi restrictions going into the end of this year, and by the time 2022 comes around, things will be normal. I think that is kind of what we should be doing, and hopefully things will get better. I'm not a super paranoid guy that thinks, like, who is benefiting off of this? Why do you think, like, the government wants people not out and spending their money, and wants people locked down and unhappy, and they don't want this. They're losing the economy. Did you see how hard the economy went down when we had to have the hardest lockdowns? Like, do you think the government wants that? Absolutely not. So you need to really get your head out of your ass and take one for the team. And hopefully there aren't enough of you idiots around where this is going to cause a significant outbreak and ruin our lives for longer than it perhaps should. So that's I guess that's the end of that. I will say, however, gyms were open in smaller town areas, but I decided to stay in Toronto in the GTA, despite that we would have harder restrictions, because, that's kind of where I plan it. I could have moved back somewhere where my life would have been easier, but I didn't. So gyms started opening up in Toronto very recently, and man, it was nice. It was nice to go back in and get a pump in. I feel like before the lockdown, I was really good with going to the gym, and then at the lockdown, I just kind of I didn't want to try and do half-ass version of exercises, so I kind of just hunkered down and focused on things to do with my mind. Used it as an opportunity to grow intellectually, as I had no didn't have many physical outlets. My job is quite physical. But that being said, it was nice to go back into the gym and feel the pump and feel the burn, and I do not want to have to go back to not going to the gym, and it was unhealthy for me to do so. But I mean, for me, I think if I just don't get the vaccine, it would be just such an bewildering act of selfish ignorance that I wouldn't really be able to sleep with myself as a conscious spiritual man who does not need the Bible. Okay, enough of the fucking COVID talk for now. I just had to get that off of my chest. It's like getting into some of these arguments with people is like really, really unfortunately been on the forefront of my mind because, like, you know, I'm really anticipating not having to deal with this bullshit again. So. We'll move on. We'll move on. Now, I had spoke about Twitter. Now, speaking of Twitter, I was interested. Twitter came out with a version of a pay-for version, Twitter Blue, and I thought that was noteworthy. And they asked me if I wanted to subscribe to it. And I was checking out what they gave you on Twitter Blue, and I didn't think it was really worth it. Now, so I want to instead produce a suggestion that of what I would do to, or what I would pay for, in the price that they were asking me. I think like $7.99 a month or something like that, something very low or whatever. But and they gave you a few different perks of using it, and I didn't think the perks that they gave for paying for it really justified the price I would have to pay. So in turn, I would instead give a suggestion for Twitter to what I would pay for. Now, in order for me to consider paying for subscribing to a social media site, Twitter, I would subscribe. I would have a payment for subscription with only if they added only two things, and very easy things to add. So let's just go over them. So number one, I would pay for Twitter for following two things. Number one, blue check mark. I know it sounds simple, but I kind of like how they do it now. But I think they should have like just enough to prove that you're not a robot and you're a authentic human that's not using duplicate accounts or whatever. So enough to prove that you have enough tweets in the bank or have been registered for long enough, like with, say, like Kijiji or Amazon or Uber Eats, or how you get a customer rating based on how long you've been using them and the amount of interactions you've had that have gone positive, etc. So something like that where they can verify that you're not just a bot there to troll or something like that, or that you're, so just enough to tweets to prove that you're an authentic person. So I think that that a blue check mark could be paid for. I think that so that's a number one thing, getting an automatic blue check mark as long as I hit a certain level of tweets or time or something, a base minimum amount of what they would need to authenticate me as a human. And the number two thing would be infinite characters. Yes, I think that's the one thing about Twitter that like annoys me to the fucking nth degree, is not having infinite characters. Like, you can have the read more button, but to see like people with very complete and detailed thoughts, to see them having to like have like 30 threads in a tweet just because they want to display a more detailed and more complex idea to people, that should be punished. I mean, like, I think that draws a lot of people away from Twitter and onto Facebook, is having the sort of character limitization that they do. And I think maybe it's done maybe in a more nefarious way than I than I accept. Maybe they don't want it to be unlimited characters. For whatever reason, Twitter's kind of more elitist, and it's more to an elite crowd, not like everyman type of social media. I think maybe that's what they're trying to pander to, and that, you know, it's hard to argue with somebody that, you know, is detailed, has enough time to write an essay, and is presenting his arguments really well. Maybe that's the type of crowd Twitter doesn't really want to go for, and maybe I'm just misreading it. But if you want me to pay for Twitter, and if you want me to be able to pay for Twitter, what would it take for Twitter to change for me to want to pay for it? Those are the two things I would pay for. Number one and two, I will pay for it if they change it right now. Boom, I'm done. I will go and subscribe to Twitter. So the number one and two things that they would have to do is number one, blue check mark. Number two, infinite characters. End of story. You do that, done deal. I'll pay for Twitter. What a week, folks. What a week. This has been one of the workiest weeks I've had. Worked my ass off at the job, worked some overtime at the job, and coming in today. And actually, thankfully, tomorrow is a holiday in Canada. It's a civic holiday, just one of those random holidays they put together. It's like, hey, here's a holiday. We don't know what to call it. Civic holiday. Okay, that's fine. Let's roll with it. In hopes of not reducing the amount of ideologues, maybe. But yeah, and can't wait. I can't wait for things to get back to normal. But I'm not so eager, on the other hand, for the post-pandemic normal activity markup. You know, basically, I'm considering that the second pandemic, the post-pandemic normal activity markup. Like, for instance, I've seen some of the, more tourist, I'm not going to name names here, but some of the more touristy places that have opened, and some of the drink prices that they're charging people right now, because trying to make up for lost revenue from the pandemic, etc. That I'm not so eager for. I'm not so eager for these semi-normal activities where you're just gonna juice up the prices because everybody doesn't want to fucking stay in their houses. Not so eager for that. Not to say that I won't partake in them from time to time, but I think, that's why I kind of got my sights set on 2022 for the breakout year. And, I'm kind of glad I took last month off. There was a lot of shit going on in Canada in the month of, to wrap up the month of June. And we had the residential school situation, and the digging up the bones of Native American children that were raped and murdered by under Catholic auspices, under the guise of assimilation, to try and attempt to assimilate the native population, to whitewash them. And you need time to fucking process these things. Like, you can't just come out with something that will it's just a risk to yourself until more information is known, because it's quite horrifying things happening. And another thing that happened also, the Muslim truck attack in London, I believe it was, where a white terrorist ran over a Muslim family. And you have to you can't just blurt whatever's random on your head about this, because you're just gonna end up pissing people off. I've been in both. I've been in two different kind of versions of Canada. I've been in like the rural Canada, where there's not a lot of ethnic population, but there's just enough, and seeing the kind of rise of not white supremacy, but like Proud Boys, and just being like a little too aggressive with with your whiteness, and non-integration and anti-immigration and shit like that, to an urban community where, like, where it's mostly ethnic people. And it's, every time we look into these things, like, say for instance, so the guy who in the Danforth who killed a bunch of people, he's trying to plead insanity, and like, oh yeah, he was an insult, whatever. Looking at all these things, like, okay, well, we can say that a white person that ran over the Arab family is a hate crime. Why can't we say the same thing about somebody that targets anybody? It doesn't matter if you're black and you target Asians, if you're Asian and you target whites, that you did it, like. Why is it only certain groups that have to be distinguished as hateable? Like, and it is the same with the gay community too. Like, if a gay person is attacking straight people, like, I mean, it's all the same thing, right? The only thing that's different is that who's able to claim insanity based on what what's our perceptions in popular culture of who can be discriminated against. It's I don't know. I personally think that Canada is too lax in crime punishment, and I actually think most of the world is too lax in crime punishment, and that another way that I deviate from biblical values and biblical norms is that I believe that the punishment should fit the crime, and that a person who murders others should be murdered, or there should be something to disincentivize that. Because all these people, once they get caught, and all it becomes is a game of survival for them, and wanting to avoid the hardship, that as much hardship as possible as they will face through the legal system. Now, the legal system protects criminals too much. I'm saying, like, in a day and age where everything's being video recorded, where it's very hard to get away with things, where it's very easy to prove that you did commit this crime, that somebody who murders, regardless of mind state, should be murdered. And we need to get back to a more eye for an eye style punishment, because the world is getting overpopulated, as we can tell by Earth's reaction to our human filth presence at the moment. And the world is overpopulated, and people who do not play by the rules should not expect the rules to bend for them. We should break the rules for those who break them. Now, I would only think that, like, I don't think that we should have capital punishment in circumstances where there's any bit of skepticism as to who committed the crimes. Like, right? Like, I mean, like, if we irrefutably know that somebody murdered somebody cold blood. Doesn't matter if they're drunk. Doesn't matter if they're high. Doesn't matter if they're on fucking PCP. Doesn't matter if they're fucking mentally fucking whatever. Doesn't matter what type of mental illness they have. That same thing should happen to them, and it should be on display for public, and we should put it on television. Why not? I mean, we have to get these things out of our system. We have to have a sense of fairness about the world, because when it seems like you are doing your all, and then other people break the rules, and then they're complaining, hey, I just murdered somebody, but I'm not getting full internet access and and Wi-Fi in my prison cell. Yeah. And I'm not even saying to be that we need to be less harsh on drug crimes, and less harsh on like petty theft, and more harsh on murder and violent crimes that affect people's lives dramatically. And that should be all around. That's the only way that, if you really care about not wanting a less violent world, I think that if you really care about wanting to see, less deaths, less this, less that, like, I think that you have to have that opinion, that you have to have the only way we get there, that is having a more eye for an eye type of system of justice. It's literally it's the only thing we haven't tried up until this point. Okay, so now I want to talk about this video that I seen. Now, this is one of those topics where sports intersects with the regular TWA2K. Because I don't know if you've seen, but look it up if you haven't on the internet. It's Richard Sherman. So Richard Sherman was drunk, and he was, he was violently slamming the door of his girlfriend's father's house, and basically like punching the door, violently smashing, like he wanted to hurt who was behind the door. And in his state, I'll give Richard the benefit of the doubt that he doesn't seem like he would do this in his normal state of mind. I've seen enough of him to know that that's not him. But so in his current state, anyways, he would have assaulted whoever was on the other side of the door, and that the only thing that was preventing him from not assaulting the father, was preventing Richard from not assaulting the father, was the fact that there was a locked door in between them. So Richard Sherman's girlfriend or wife, I'm not particularly sure. I don't know exactly the situation, but that was her father. So she was calling 911, and the part that I want to highlight is this 911 call. If you can find it, try looking up microphone, shout out on YouTube. And if you see breaking for Richard Sherman on the day that he did this, so check it out and listen at the 4:42 mark, where there's this 911 dispatch idiot who took the phone call of Richard Sherman's significant other, whether it was wife or girlfriend, I'm not sure. So this 911 dispatch idiot took Richard Sherman's significant other was trying to describe the situation the best that she could while dealing with the emotive state of needing help right now, because Richard Sherman's literally trying to kick down the door to assault her father. And the 911 officer was like, he's punching things. Well, did he actually punch anyone? And just trying to downplay. The 911 officer was trying to downplay the fact that maybe she wasn't in as much of an emergency as she was leading on, but it was clear based on the how she was talking that it was a state of emergency, and the 911 dispatcher was more considered with the particulars, and it seemed like she was almost skeptical of sending officers there. Now, if you had this sort of problem where you're getting a lot of calls over bullshit and bogus shit, that okay, maybe that's something you need to subsidize with charging people penalties for calling the cops when the cops aren't necessary. But there's no denying that based on how this woman was speaking to the dispatcher, that there was an emergency on hand, that they needed police presence right now. Because if Richard Sherman would have fucking knocked that door down, that there was a man who was going to get violently assaulted. That was without a doubt. And the 911 dispatcher triples down on, is like, well, I'm not sure if this is really as bad as your this lady's she can't even come to grips with her emotions because she's in a fucking state of emergency. And when you're in state of panic like that, I've been like that, and you can't even remember anything. You can't remember your passwords. You can't remember fucking you can't remember simple things that your mind always is able to remember when you're under severe duress, and to have a 911 dispatcher that she should be fired right away. There's no doubt about it. I do not if you contrast that with remember that I don't know if you've seen it before, but this 911 officer who took a hint like a champ, this girl was trying to hint out that she was in trouble, and at first he didn't get it, but second time around he got it and sent like she was trying to order pizza or something. It's like, I think you're confused. It's like, no, I'm not confused. This is, and he took on. If you contrast those two, those are two different people. That guy should get a raise. This girl should get fired. That was unbelievable. If you check it out, please do. It's worth remarking. It seemed like the chick was a total racist Karen. She was just like, oh well, it's black people killing each other. Literally that was the vibe I had coming off of this 911 dispatcher. So check that out. Let me know what you think. Am I wrong? Is that is that a pass for you? That's that's the doing the opposite of your job, pretty much. How you're supposed to handle that is try and get any information you can. Don't sit there and contradict the person. Send a fucking cop out there, because it sounds like, unless the woman was really trying to pull the wool over your eyes, sending the cops out there was the right move. It's interesting, people, and how people talk, and like based on this woman, how this woman was speaking, there was really no doubt she was in an emergency situation. It's like, you can tell. Just like I can tell when there's somebody who's doing a Peloton ad and they're not really using Peloton, because they sound like this. I use Peloton every day and it is fine. It is so great to go around and bike with people. And it's like, no, that's not how Peloton people sound like. Peloton, okay, let's go. Yes, it's good. Oh man, I was on this run the other day. It was so sick. Oh man, I think I did 3 kilometers in fucking 30 minutes, bro. Yeah, like, that's how fucking people who use Peloton sound. They don't sound like, well, this day I think it is a terrific product. It's like, I can fucking tell. I know you don't use Peloton, motherfucker. And that's why Joe Rogan is so successful at podcasting, is in the interview and how he interviews people, and kind of putting himself in their shoes and trying to get them to. It's just interesting how you use vocals and how you use your voice. How you use your voice can mean a lot, but if you went through a training video and like I would think if you went through a 911 training video and they played this for you, it's like, okay, what would your reactions be? And the last thing you would think is like, oh, I should press the person on this and try, and it's like, oh, hey, maybe it really is an emergency. Maybe he's just punching the house and that's not really an assault. Like, and trying to figure out the particulars of the emergency. I got a motherfucker that's going nuts over here, and unless you guys come and taser his ass, he's gonna rip someone's head off. Like, what more do you need to say at that point? So, folks, that's it for TWA2K regular show. Please stay tuned if you feel so inclined. I'll be going over sports. I'll be doing my sports takes for the last couple of months. There'll be a lot of UFC and NFL training camp talk. So stay tuned if you feel so inclined to TWA2K Sports. But in the meantime, that was the World According to Kyle podcast. Hope you had a good time, everybody. Take care. Dun, 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 dun. TWA2K Sports. Yeah, what's up, everybody? This is TWA2K Sports section. Let's get into it. Okay, so since the last time we had TWA2K Sports, there have been some championships that have been won, and I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge them. So let's do that right now. We had the Tampa Bay Lightning winning their second Stanley Cup in a row and defeating the Montreal Canadiens. And, good for them. Tampa Bay, they overcame getting waxed, excuse me, as the first seed against the 8th seed in the playoffs a couple years ago, and have won a couple Stanley Cups since. Good. Congratulations. And shows proof that Steve Yzerman's really quite the GM. He has assembled quite the team there in Tampa, and good for them. Maybe hockey isn't as random as you think sometimes. Well, I mean, when you got a really good team that's really well balanced and firing on all cylinders, like growing up in Windsor area, I was a big fan of the Red Wings, and they're a very complete team. And when you have a very complete team that's firing on all cylinders, and you're getting great goaltending, that is a recipe for a lot of Stanley Cups. And it's hard to replicate. And so Tampa seems to have that, where they have where they have kind of everything figured out right now, and they got a really great situation. But when you rely on so many individual pieces, it can go up in smoke pretty fast. So we'll see what happens. Hockey is a very fickle sport. For me, I think like the best way to produce a team that is capable of winning the Stanley Cup is to reduce mistakes, like unforced errors, if you would call it in the tennis world, is like the less unforced errors you make, like turning the puck over, this and that, because any goals are highly random. Shooting the puck at a net where the goalie is like, covering like 2/3 of it with his padding, is a little subject to randomness. So the way you counter those random variables is by making the least mistakes possible, is by not making unforced errors. And I notice that a lot with teams that get beaten, like with now that I'm in Toronto, big on watching Toronto sports, and that's kind of the Leafs Achilles heel, is that every now and then they'll have like a horrific turnover, or and you can point to this at every point in the game. Oh, they had this awful giveaway, and that scored the tying goal, and then they fell off after that. So I think if you want to create a great hockey team, you need to have a team that reduces those unforced errors, and because you could be out shooting the other team 10-1, but that one giveaway was a back-breaking one, and their goalie cut off all the right angles, and all of a sudden you're behind the 8 ball, and it's a lot different of a hockey game than you thought it would be. So shout out to the Tampa Bay Lightning and Steve Yzerman and Steve Stamkos, and that's quite the team that they've got over there. Now, the other team that has won a championship in the meantime, the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and as pissed off as I've been with the NBA recently via being a Toronto Raptors fan, and having the potential for a dynasty, but the only reason you don't have a dynasty is because people don't want to play, or superstars don't want to play in an area that's below 15 degrees Celsius on average. I know it's baffling how I think that's at the point where the stars are making a little bit too much money, where they can willfully turn down a championship situation because it's not sunny enough. I guess that's just me growing up north of the border, growing up, near the I-95. And maybe that's my mentality, but I mean, I would like to congratulate. Needless to say, I would like to congratulate Giannis, the Greek Freak, Antetokounmpo, and the Milwaukee Bucks for winning. And Giannis is a great example of I can't hate him because he's so not the fucking diva superstar. He's stuck with his original team. He wanted to win with them. He knew he knew his chances were best by going with them, and he didn't want to create a super team. Now we're seeing right now fucking Westbrook going to the Los Angeles Lakers. It's a complete shit show. It's not even a sport practically. It's just like when when the sport is played out more during the off season than the in season, you're starting to lose grip of what it means to have a sport. It's troubling. I think the NBA needs to start experimenting and needs to do something, because this era has gotten just ridiculous. The LeBron era has created this brand of NBA player that or brand of NBA that is turning more into soccer, where people are just trying to dive and draw fouls, and I don't really know how it's fixed, but the fickle nature of human error and reffing is something that's really that really drags me down trying to think of solutions for. But on a practical level, I think maybe going 2s and 3s isn't quite enough, because certain degrees of shots are very easy. Like a layup is a very easy shot. Why is a free throw is a harder shot than a layup? So why is a free throw 1 point and why is a layup 2 points? Gets you thinking, doesn't it? Maybe a free throw should just be one shot for 2 points. Maybe a common layup or dunk should just be 1 point, and maybe a 2-pointer should be like 10 feet or greater from behind the circumference of the basketball net, and then have the 3-pointers stay the same. But you could also have 4-pointers, 5-pointers, and anything beyond and then that would be the half court line. And then if you were beyond the half court, then 7, 8, 9, 10 have all the areas mapped out. Where so if you get like a full half court shot, that's 10 points. Now, of course, you're not going to go for it, but if it's your only chance of winning, I think that maybe that would be something that maybe the NBA should look into, is that depending that each area on the floor pertains to a certain point amount, because it's a certain degree of difficulty harder than other shots, and maybe that that is something I would look at, because me as like somebody who is undersized shooter, when I play basketball, that when we play with ones, when we play just ones for everything, it's the fucking worst. Like I'm a 3-point shooter. I don't play grandpa basketball. Fucking I play with point differentiation, and I think that that's what it's about, is of assigning values of difficulty to each point on the floor, and that maybe that should be looked at a little more in the NBA, and considering degree of difficulty of shots, etc. So, anyways, that is how I would fix basketball. That was my quick take on how I would fix basketball. But congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Chris Middleton was pretty big. He stepped up a lot. Drew Holiday. All them guys, I'm glad somebody's not a complete sellout ended up winning the NBA championship, but that's not gonna spare me of the next 5 years of having to watch LeBron, who's effectively assembled the Monstars to win the next 4 out of the next 5 NBA championships. Also, he can call himself the greatest. Yeah, count me out. Hopefully something can combat that. I thought it could have been the Raptors, and it could have been, but apparently Kawhi didn't want that to happen. So congratulations to both the Tampa Bay Lightning and Milwaukee Bucks on achieving their championships. I am glad the seasons that there was a full enough season to have those things. Now, on to the NFL. And I wanted to talk about some of my takes. One of my takes on Lamar Jackson, and it caused quite the stir. But I mean, you know, I commented on something that was like, oh, what do you think of Lamar as a quarterback? And I said, he's a starting caliber quarterback, and I didn't think he's that great, and that set people off, and a lot of people called me racist, and a lot of people made assumptions about me that were not true, and it seemed to have triggered a lot of people. And you know, that is usually a good indication that you're right about something. Now, I want to talk about this. I want to do a little bit of a deep dive, because I liked Lamar coming out of college, and he's basically what I thought he was. And I made money off betting him in college. So I thought he was a good value to pick up for the Ravens. Now they created a great system around him, etc. But I think there's been a little too much of throwing the Ravens wide receiver core under the bus in order to protect Lamar. Now, Lamar is a tremendous athlete, don't get me wrong, but I think ultimately the quarterback position comes down to throwing, and I do not see him as having an NFL caliber arm. Now, can he get around it? Can you create offenses? Yes, but I mean, I wouldn't go dissing the Baltimore Ravens wide receiving core, and Hollywood Brown and Andrews, the tight end, are really great. I mean, I don't like, they're really great options. I don't think that or like Willie Snead is all that terrible. Like, I don't think he's the worst wide receiver ever. I just think that I haven't seen enough development in Lamar's arm to be very comfortable with him in the role that he's in. Now, I think the Ravens are a stacked roster. Like, is there any arguing that the Ravens don't have a fucking stacked team? If you want to nitpick and say, okay, you don't like their wide receiving core, whatever. I mean, it's not the Cincinnati Bengals, but I don't think it's a bad wide receiving core. Like, I don't think they have bad options. And I think that Lamar's just not hitting them, or not, like, doesn't have a trustworthy enough arm to, like, the year that he won the MVP, it was like teams didn't adjust to him. But if you stack the box and play man coverage downfield, okay, like, I think you're gonna, like, be okay against Lamar. Like, I think as long as you prevent the run, and like, of all the things, like, you know, we hate running backs so much, like, or like, we hate on running, or, you know, standard football devalues the position of running back the most. So why is turning the quarterback into a runner like why do we make an exception for that if you know, oh, it doesn't matter if you're running 6 yards a clip, if you can't pick up 10 yards on a first down, then what good are you? Okay, so I present that question to you with quarterbacks who are only focused on running. Why does that not apply to them? Why does it only apply to running backs? So I flip that around. Okay, we devalue the position of running back. So I'm valuing passing more in a quarterback, because you're able to do more things. Now, you should have above a certain level arm to play in the NFL. The more legs you got, great. I'm a firm believer that you're only as strong as the strength of your greatest weakness. And if you have a significant weakness, then that's your Achilles heel, and that's something that can be exploited. Now so and I could tell by my reactions to this is I ended up betting a guy $500 that Lamar Jackson would not make a Super Bowl in, okay, so 2.5 years, 2.5 years set as a number. Will Lamar Jackson make a Super Bowl in the next 2.5 years? I said no. I took the under, basically. So I'm in a bet with a Ravens fan who says yes, they will make a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. So I feel good about that bet. I feel like he's almost getting juiced a little on that, because I think ultimately, when it comes down to it, and there are enough good teams in the AFC, that you can scheme against Lamar, and like I said, you're only as strong as the strength of your greatest weakness. And when your greatest weakness is the thing that produces the most yards and the most big time plays, that's a fucking big time problem in my opinion. And I really think that and the unfortunate part is that that the bad rap that guys like Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews and other various wide receivers are getting because of it. Now, of course, I think Lamar's starting caliber. I think you got to roll with him, but I mean, absolutely, I think you have to develop that he has to develop the arm, and it's not going to happen overnight. And personally, I don't think it's a good enough quality arm to win a Super Bowl at the NFL level. So call me a racist all you want. I've dealt with it before. Let me think. What was the last time I dealt with? Oh, yes. I dealt with it when I was sticking up for Dabo Sweeney when he wanted to bench Kelly Bryant in favor of Trevor Lawrence. Oh, how did that work out? Wait, Trevor Lawrence won the national championship, and I was vindicated, which I knew I would be, because it was clear to see that Dabo's decision had nothing to do with race. He was starting the best quarterback to be able to win him championships, and I understand maybe Kelly Bryant felt salty about that, and maybe Dabo said, oh yeah, you're going to, but Kelly Bryant had his chance. He had a full fucking season to show what he was about, and it didn't happen. And then Trevor Lawrence came in and showed that ability, and again, the same things people are saying to me now about Lamar Jackson, people were saying to me before about Trevor Lawrence in respect to Kelly Bryant. So, I'll stick by my guns, and, if I have to cough up $500 for Lamar making a Super Bowl, I'll do that. But guess what? It's the only way it's going to happen is if he develops his arm. And a lot of people are like pointing out, it's like, he did this throw, he did that throw. Okay, great. I'm looking at these throws and they're not all that great. It's not like he's beating coverage. The guys are like 10 feet open and he hits them. It's like, wow, he made a pass he should have made. If you have to display the fact that he's making a pass that is a common NFL, like no one's showing these passes where he's these no look bombs on the run, like sidearm and shit, like I mean, like I'm just not seeing it. Okay. And I think that going against the grain too much in this quarterback market, it's I think in my mind Patrick Mahomes is the best running quarterback, and he's only the best running quarterback because you fear his arm. So when he goes out and starts to improvise and starts to go out on and starts to break out of the pocket, that you legitimately have a decision to make. With Lamar Jackson, it's no decision. It's go tackle that motherfucker, and if he fucking hits his prayer of a fucking of a shot, then consider that lucky. But Otherwise, you're trying to treat him as if he's a running back. Then that's why Patrick Mahomes is the perfect running quarterback, because his arm is dangerous enough to kill you from anywhere on the field, and that's what makes his running dangerous. It's not the reverse. You fear the big time plays. You fear the bombs, and if teams are willing to give up their running lanes, then you take them, and that's how you break them. But it starts from a position of your strength, and your strength as a quarterback should be your arm, not your legs. And as better as you can make your legs, hey, that's fucking great. That's more options. That's more that you can do. Is it necessary to win Super Bowls? No, absolutely not. Okay, so just had to get that off my chest. What do you think? Let me know below. Am I $500 richer, or am I coughing that up in the next little while? That's American too, because he's an American. So so that's like $600 for me, $625 for me. Okay, now being a Bengals fan, I came across a lot of hatred for Zach Taylor at the moment, and I just want to say I don't think the last couple seasons were any like huge indictment on him. I think there were a lot of circumstances that went against him. I think that he kind of did the best that he could given the circumstances, but I would say that this year is the year that I want to that he will need to prove himself as well, because it's okay to eat a shit sandwich for a little bit if the results that come out at the end are, if you're baking a fucking pumpkin pie at the end of that. So I think this year is kind of a prove it year, and I wouldn't necessarily say he's an awful coach. I did see some things like the fourth down conversion rates and the fourth down play calling, and I noticed enough where he was playing with playing to Joe Burrow's strengths that I wouldn't necessarily write it off, but I would say very short leash. I mean, like, and this season should be a prove it viewed at as a prove it season for Zach Taylor, especially with the addition of Riley Reif and Jonah Williams back healthy, and Frank Pollock on the as offensive line coach. Jamar Chase with Burrow and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. Like, you have to show something now this year. Forget about draft position. You need to really show what you're capable of this year. This needs to be. We need to show our strength right now. So I think this year's big for Taylor, because there's a lot of questions rolling around about maybe it could have been Joe Burrow's injury could have been prevented if we played safer, stuff like that. But I mean, it's just good to see Burrow healthy. He looks great, and I hope Zach Taylor can really bring Joe Burrow to flourish with all the offensive weapons that he has. Now let's transition into a little bit of UFC now. So a few UFC events have happened since our last TWA2K. Now the more recent notable one was Poirier versus McGregor, in which Poirier won because Conor snapped his leg. And it was a lot of people argued it was a 10-8 round for Poirier. I still think maybe 10-9, but still Poirier definitely Connor put up enough of a fight, but what happened after was more of the story, and that, like, I guess when you're on top of the world and you're shit talking, it's, you know, it's a little bit different. When you're sitting there with your fucking leg broken, telling a guy you're gonna kill him and insulting his wife, it's just like, I mean, it's just like, I would understand if Poirier doesn't fight him. I mean, Poirier is probably going to fight him again because he wants a paycheck, but, like, I almost think you shouldn't give him that, because you definitely don't have to. And on top of that, like, McGregor has looked bad, like, and I'm not sure McGregor would beat Dan Hooker, let alone fucking Dustin Poirier. And I'm sure Poirier wants to just beat his ass for the money. But I mean, I think maybe the MMA Poirier needs to look at this and say, hey, him versus Oliveira is going to be a great fight. Ortega and Volkanovski is going to be a good fight. I mean, like, the UFC's just got great athletes right now, and you know, I think maybe we should not care so much about Conor. Like, what has he done lately? Not much. He was great for the sport. He helped bring the sport up in the time where it needed it, and he was a great promoter. But you know, he's getting his ass kicked right now. So how can you, like, and especially with all, like, his antics, you can't reward that, and maybe it'll hurt your paycheck a little bit, but you're gonna get paid. You're gonna get paid from fucking your next 5 fights. You're gonna make probably $1 million guaranteed, because Poirier looks good. The lightweight division looks good. You mix and match up any of the top 5 in there, and boom, I'm down. Now, I had a thought that of a sick scenario. You know that meme where Dana White's load? This will be a Dana White huge load. This would be a huge load from Dana White. Okay, so here it is. It's like Ortega beats Volkanovski, gets the strap. Next fight, Ortega Holloway. Oh, how sick would that be? You want to fuck Conor McGregor, Ortega Holloway for the strap. How sick would that be? I don't even care. I don't care that Conor McGregor, he can fight whoever he wants. Ultimately, Khabib was fucking proven the champ. Islam looks great. It looks really great. And Khabib, Conor may have had a lot of short-term fame and a lot of money, but Khabib has the respect, and Khabib has the respect of the fighters and the respect of the community, and Khabib can go on teaching his fight strategies, because clearly they're working out. Anybody in his camp does exactly what Khabib does, and they're turning into winners. So who's Conor turning into a winner? All he's doing is running his mouth and helping himself. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Conor had got big paydays, but Khabib has respect, and respect will make sure he gets paid until the day he dies. And on top of that, what Conor said about fucking COVID and Khabib's father was absolutely disgusting. I don't know how you can stick up for this guy at this point. Just let him be alone in his own little world. He's making an embarrassment of himself, and he needs to just shut the fuck up and stop, because he was great during the second Poirier one, because he got humbled and a few times, and he was a little more humble and had a little more humility. then after he lost, it just became excuses, and you just look ridiculous when you're sitting with a snapped leg talking about how you're gonna fucking kill someone in their sleep, getting carried out on a stretcher. And okay, so more recently we had the Dillashaw comeback, which was fucking fantastic. Now Sandhagen, I guess if I had to score the fight, I think I would have had Sandhagen winning, because I had Cody Sandhagen in 1, 2, 3, 4, but I felt the fifth could have gone either way. Like I wasn't super impressed with Sandhagen. Like he didn't really try and empty the tank until like late in the fifth, and try and really go like hard for knocking TJ out until it was too late. And TJ was controlling the pace of the fight a lot. Like I didn't hate the decision. I thought, and I had Sandhagen winning 48-47, but I mean, like I did that with plugging my nose and trying to pick a winner of the fifth. But it's good to see TJ Dillashaw back. That division is stacked, and there's a lot of good fights you can make. There's a lot of good mixing and matching that you can have from that. And Sandhagen can, when somebody is a little too careless and leaves their chin open, Sandhagen can put you out. But when somebody who's fighting more smarter and controlling the pace and pushing the pace, you've seen Sandhagen have a little bit of trouble with that. But regardless, I think I'm interested to see a rematch. I'm interested to see TJ Dillashaw fighting somebody else again. I guess we're going to have Chandler Gaethje, which that should be incredible. Oh, but the other fight on that card, there's another fight on that card. Which one was it? Oh yeah, the Maverick versus Barber, where the judges completely fucking butchered the decision. Like, I don't know what they were watching. I don't know what fight they were watching, where Maverick obviously won the first 2 rounds, and Barber put it on in the third, but everyone could agree who watched the fight that that Maverick had won the first 2 rounds, but somehow Barber won 28-29 on a split decision when she only won the third round. Like, I do not know, like, how you give any of the first 2 rounds to Barber, like, based on, like, Maverick, definitely not the first, but the second you give to Barber, for how? She didn't do anything. Like, and I know you have to give the third to her, but Barber's down 2 rounds. She's got to knock her out. And that wasn't even the last. There was another fucking fight where they completely fucking butchered the result. Goldie, I thought, won. Who's the other one? The Paiva Phillips one. I thought that was a draw. I thought that it was a 10-8 for Phillips, and that Paiva 10-9 for the next 2. So I had that as a draw, and I think a lot of people felt the same, where Phillips 10-8'd him in the first round, and Paiva 10-9'd him the next 2. So I had that. Now, let me say something also, is that I find that sometimes the second fights are amazing, and that why these aren't 5-round fights. It doesn't, like, why does it have to be for a strap in order for it to be a 5-round fight? Like Phillips and Paiva, if that was 5 rounds, that would have been 5 rounds of pure fucking amazing fighting. Like, it like that. It was a disappointment that couldn't have had 5 rounds, and I think the co-main, so the second to the main event, should always be 5 rounds. It doesn't matter if it's for a strap or some legacy fight or whatever. Regardless, should always be 5 rounds, because there's enough talent in the UFC where you can, I mean, schedule at least some semblance of a 5-round worthy fight for your second fight, regardless of whether it's for the title or not. Okay, so we just had Hall versus Strickland wrap up. Not really the most notable card. The last fights were kind of good, but Hall just got murked by Strickland, completely fucking outclassed him. Strickland for the middleweight is good enough fight card. It's definitely, it's not official UFC, but good enough for a fight night. And like I said, like the UFC has more than enough talent to compensate for having the second to last fight be 5 rounders, and it should be. Okay, so that's it. That's a wrap. That's it for TWA2K Sports. Hope you guys had a fantastic last couple of months. I'll be back next month with TWA2K. See you guys then. Later.